Princess Amara stood on the balcony of the Elindra Palace, gazing at the sparkling city below. Elindra was unlike any other kingdom in the galaxy. Its tall towers shimmered with light harvested from nearby stars, and its streets were lined with trees that glowed softly at night. Hover carts moved gracefully along the skyways, and the people of Elindra were known for their intelligence, courage, and kindness. But Amara's heart was heavy. Her daughter, Lyra, had vanished years ago during a diplomatic mission to a distant, unknown star system. Lyra had been only 12, bright, curious, and full of energy. Amara had always encouraged her curiosity, but when Lyra disappeared without a trace, that encouragement had turned into endless worry. The palace had searched the neighboring star systems, sent out thousands of messages across the galaxy, and even hired skilled trackers from far-off planets. Yet, no one had ever found a clue. No ship wreckage, no captured messages, no hint of where Lyra might have gone. Some whispered that she had been taken by alien raiders, others that she had discovered a hidden world and chosen to live there. But Amara refused to believe she had lost her daughter forever. Each day, she walked through the gardens, touching the flowers Lyra had loved, imagining her daughter's laughter among the petals. She remembered the day Lyra had left for the diplomatic mission. "Promise me you will stay safe," Amara had said, holding her hand tightly. Lyra had smiled, her eyes bright. "I will, Mother. I promise." That promise had haunted Amara ever since. One evening, as the twin moons rose over Elindra, the palace's sensors picked up an unusual energy signal from the outer rim of their system. It was faint, but steady, almost like a heartbeat. The signal was unlike anything Elindra had encountered before, and its pattern was strange, almost familiar. Amara's heart skipped a beat. Could it be Lyra? Could she be alive after all these years? The next morning, Amara gathered her council. "It is unusual. I need a team to investigate it immediately." The council murmured among themselves. Some were excited at the possibility that Lyra was alive, but others were cautious. "Your Highness," one elder said, "it could be a false reading. It could be dangerous." Amara shook her head. "I must know. I have waited too long to doubt." The team departed, traveling aboard Elindra's fastest ships, slicing through the void at unimaginable speeds. Days passed, and Amara waited anxiously, pacing the palace halls and watching the stars. Every time a ship returned with no news, her hope wavered, but it never disappeared. One afternoon, as the sun's golden rays lit the palace gardens, Amara felt a sudden warmth on the balcony. She turned, and her eyes widened in disbelief. A figure stood at the gates, slender, tall, and graceful. Her hair shimmered in the sunlight, and there was a strength in her stance that Amara did not recognize immediately. Then she saw the children. Two small figures clung to the woman's hands, their eyes glowing faintly with a color that no human had seen before. One child was quiet, staring curiously at everything around, while the other laughed softly, a sound that carried across the courtyard like music. "Lyra," Amara whispered, tears forming in her eyes. "Yes, Mother," the woman said, her voice steady, but gentle. "It is me." Amara ran, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might burst. She reached her daughter, falling into her arms, holding her tightly, as if she could never let go. Lyra was taller than she remembered, her face marked by the passage of years, but unmistakably her daughter. "And who are these children?" Amara asked, gently pulling back to look. "They are mine," Lyra said, holding the children closer. "They are half human, half from another world. They are my children." Gasps echoed through the palace as guards and attendants stared in disbelief. Half-human children had never been seen in Elindra before. The palace scientist stepped forward cautiously, scanning the children. "Fascinating," he whispered. "They carry human DNA. But there is something else. Something extraordinary." Lyra knelt and introduced them. "This is Kale," she said, pointing to the older child, who had the faint glow in his eyes. "And this is Lyra," she added, smiling at the younger one, who giggled and reached out toward Amara. Amara's heart ached with love and surprise. These children were part of her daughter, part of herself, and yet different, carrying the mysteries of alien worlds. She could feel their energy, gentle yet powerful, like the hum of a distant star. "They are safe," Lyra said softly. "I have kept them safe for all these years. I have traveled across many star systems, learning, surviving, and protecting them. I never stopped thinking about you, Mother. I never stopped hoping I would return." Amara held her daughter's face, tears streaming down her cheeks. "You came back. You really came back." Lyra nodded. "I did. But Mother, there are things you need to know. Things about why I disappeared, and why I had to live among other worlds. There are dangers that still follow us." Amara's heart skipped a beat. "Dangers?" she asked. "Tell me everything." Lyra took a deep breath and began her story. She spoke of alien civilizations, some kind and some cruel. She told of being captured by a distant species that valued hybrid children for their abilities, keeping her hidden for years. She spoke of escape, of finding refuge among worlds where humans and aliens coexisted peacefully, and of how she met the beings who would become her children's other parent. Amara listened, every word sharpening the reality she had always feared and hoped for. She learned that Kale and Lyra had inherited unique abilities from their alien parentage. Kale could manipulate small amounts of energy, while Lyra could sense emotions and thoughts from those around her. Yet, despite their powers, Lyra had raised them with love, kindness, and care, teaching them the values she had learned in Alindra. "And now?" Amara asked softly, brushing a strand of hair from Lyra's face. "Now we return," Lyra said firmly. "I want my children to grow in Alindra, to learn, and to be safe. But Mother, there are those who may not understand them. Not everyone will accept what they are." Amara took her daughter's hands. "Then we will teach them," she said. "We will show our people that courage, intelligence, and love are stronger than fear. We will welcome them, no matter what they are." Lyra smiled, a mixture of relief and hope in her eyes. The palace slowly began to stir with preparations. The royal gardens became a place for the children to explore safely. Teachers, scientists, and caretakers were assigned to help them learn about their human heritage while controlling their extraordinary abilities. The people of Alindra began to notice the unusual signal that had brought Lyra back. Whispers spread across the city. Some were fearful, some curious, but many were simply hopeful. Hope that a lost daughter had returned, and that perhaps Alindra was on the verge of a new chapter, one filled with wonder, courage, and unexpected heroes. That night, Amara watched the stars from her balcony once more. Lyra and the children sat nearby, laughing softly as they pointed out constellations. The twins had already begun to play with small bursts of energy, careful not to damage anything. Amara felt a sense of peace she had not known for years. But deep in the shadows, beyond the palace walls, sensors detected faint movements. Unknown forces in distant star systems were aware of Lyra's return, and not all of them welcomed it. The universe was vast, and dangers lurked where eyes could not see. Yet, for the first time in many years, Amara allowed herself to hope. Her daughter was back. The children were safe in her arms. And the kingdom of Alindra had a new story to write, a story of courage, unity, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. The adventure had only just begun. The palace was alive with activity. News of Lyra's return had spread quickly through Alindra, and every corridor, every chamber, seemed to buzz with curiosity and excitement. Guards, scholars, and citizens alike gathered near the grand hall, eager to catch a glimpse of the daughter who had been missing for so many years. Princess Amara moved carefully through the crowd, Lyra and the children by her side. Kael, the older child, walked confidently, his eyes glowing faintly in the palace light. Lyra, the younger, clung to her mother's hand, peering at everything with wide, curious eyes. The palace council had convened immediately after Lyra's arrival. Some members were cautious, whispering about the unknown abilities of the children and the mysterious years Lyra had spent away. Others were filled with joy and relief. But all agreed on one thing: Lyra's return was extraordinary, and the kingdom needed to understand the story behind it. Amara led Lyra into the council chamber. The room was massive, with walls of polished crystal that reflected the sunlight in brilliant patterns. Counselors and advisors sat quietly, waiting for Lyra to speak. The children were seated on soft cushions near their mother, curious but calm. Lyra took a deep breath and began. "I know my absence caused pain, confusion, and worry," she said, her voice steady. "I did not vanish by choice. I was taken far from our world, to a place where humans were unknown. I was captured by beings who valued hybrid children for their abilities. Children like Kael and Lyra. I had to survive, to protect the children, and to learn everything I could about the universe so we could return safely." Gasps and murmurs spread through the room. Hybrid children were unheard of in Elendra, and the thought of alien powers mixed with human traits made many uneasy. A council member cleared his throat. "Lyra, what do you mean by hybrid? Are these children dangerous?" Lyra shook her head. "They are not dangerous. They are my children, and they are kind and curious. But they do have abilities inherited from the other world, where I lived for many years. Kael can manipulate energy. Lyra can sense feelings and thoughts. These powers are part of them, but I have guided them to control them responsibly." Some council members exchanged worried glances. Others were impressed, realizing the potential benefits of having children with abilities unlike any seen before. One of the palace scientists stepped forward. "This is remarkable," he said. "Their physiology is partly human, but there are elements here that we cannot yet understand. These children could teach us about new forms of energy, communication, and intelligence." Lyra nodded. "That is why we have returned. Not just to reunite with my family, but to share knowledge, to help our kingdom grow, and to ensure the children are safe among their people. I have traveled across many star systems, learned from beings who live in ways humans have never imagined, and now I can bring that knowledge home." Amara's eyes shone with pride and relief. She reached out and held her daughter's hand. "We will protect you and your children," she said. "Elendra has always valued life, learning, and courage. You and the children belong here." Outside the chamber, whispers continued. Citizens were fascinated by the children's abilities. Some were cautious, unsure how humans and aliens might mix. Others were filled with awe, dreaming of what such children could mean for the future. That evening, Lyra walked through the palace gardens with her children. Kael stretched out his hands, and tiny sparks of energy danced across the ground, forming glowing shapes that floated in the air before vanishing. Lyra tilted her head and reached out with her mind, sensing the emotions of the flowers, the breeze, and even the distant stars. Amara followed silently, watching the interaction. "They are extraordinary," she said softly. "But will the people understand?" Lyra smiled. "They will. Humans are capable of great understanding when they see love and courage. The children are part of this kingdom now, and soon everyone will see that." In the days that followed, Lyra began to share her story in more detail. She spoke of the worlds she had visited, of beings who communicated without words, of civilizations that thrived in ways Elendra had never imagined. She explained how she had escaped captivity, navigated treacherous star systems, and protected the children from those who wished to exploit their abilities. Kale and Lyra learned quickly in the palace. Teachers showed them human history, mathematics, and science, while Lyra taught them about the knowledge she had gained from other worlds. The children's abilities proved useful. Kyle could manipulate small amounts of energy to clean or arrange objects effortlessly. Lyra could sense if someone was happy, sad, or fearful, helping them understand emotions and avoid misunderstandings. The palace began to adjust to their presence. Some nobles remained wary, questioning whether the children's abilities might bring danger or disrupt the kingdom's traditions. But many others were fascinated, eager to see what these hybrids could achieve. Amara and Lyra worked together to create an environment where the children could grow safely and where their differences would be seen as strengths rather than threats. One afternoon, as Kael practiced shaping energy into glowing figures, a group of children from the palace school approached. They were hesitant at first, unsure how to interact with someone so different. Kael smiled at them, forming a small, glowing bird that hovered in the air. The school children's eyes widened, and laughter followed. Slowly, they began to play together, forming friendships that crossed worlds and species. Meanwhile, whispers of Lyra's past reached the ears of distant powers. Not all beings in the galaxy welcomed her return or the presence of hybrid children. Some viewed them as threats. Some were curious. Others wanted to claim the children's abilities for themselves. Lyra knew that her return might bring both hope and danger to Elindra. Amara sensed her daughter's concern. "We will face whatever comes together," she said. "Elendra is strong, and humans are resilient. Your children are part of that strength now." Lyra nodded. "I trust our people, but we must remain vigilant. There are forces far beyond this kingdom who will not forget what I have done or where the children come from." That evening, the family sat together under the glowing trees of the palace gardens. Kale and Lyra giggled as they played with energy and thoughts, showing the beauty of their unique abilities. Lyra watched them with pride and hope, knowing that despite the hardships they had faced, they had survived, learned, and grown stronger. Amara placed her hand on Lyra's shoulder. "You have returned," she said, "and you have brought new life, new hope, and new possibilities. Elindra will remember this day forever." Lyra smiled, feeling a sense of peace she had not known in years. "We will make this kingdom stronger," she said. "Not just for humans, but for everyone who values courage, knowledge, and love. The children are a bridge between worlds, and together, we can show what humans are capable of." The night fell over Elindra, the twin moons casting silver light over the palace. The children's laughter echoed softly, blending with the hum of the stars. Somewhere far beyond the known systems, forces stirred, watching, waiting. Yet within the walls of the palace, a family had been reunited. Knowledge had been shared, and hope had been rekindled. Lyra knew that the journey ahead would be challenging. There would be those who feared the children, those who wished to exploit their abilities, and dangers lurking across the galaxy. But she also knew that humans had a strength that could overcome almost anything: courage, love, and intelligence. And for the first time in many years, she felt truly home. Elindra had welcomed her back. Her children had found a safe place to grow, and the kingdom stood ready to face whatever the future might bring, with humanity's best qualities leading the way. The adventure was far from over, but Lyra, Amara, and the children were together. And together, they were stronger than anything that might come from the shadows. The palace of Elendra had grown quieter in the days after Lyra's return, but the calm was only on the surface. Beneath the glittering towers and sparkling streets, whispers of concern stirred among the council and the city's scholars. Lyra's arrival had brought hope, but it had also brought questions. Questions about the children, their abilities, and the unknown forces that had shaped their lives. Lyra spent her mornings teaching Kael and Lyra, showing them the history of Elindra and helping them practice control over their powers. Kael could manipulate small bursts of energy, creating light, motion, or warmth. Lyra, with her unique sensitivity, could sense feelings and understand the emotions of those around her. Both children were bright and curious, absorbing knowledge faster than anyone had expected. But one evening, as Lyra examined a star map with Amara in the observation chamber, she paused, her brow furrowed. "Mother, there is something you must know," she said quietly. Amara looked at her, concern in her eyes. "What is it, Lyra?" "During my travels," Lyra began, tracing her finger across distant systems on the map, "I discovered a group of beings who are very dangerous. They are warlords who seek to control hybrid children like Kael and Lyra. They believe such children can be trained to use powers that humans alone cannot develop." Amara's hand tightened around hers. "Are they near us?" Lyra shook her head. "Not yet, but they know of our existence. And once they discover that the children are here, Elindra could become a target." Amara's mind raced. Elindra had always been a strong kingdom, with advanced technology, skilled warriors, and intelligent leaders. But she understood Lyra's warning. These warlords had vast fleets, and their knowledge of hybrid children made them unpredictable and dangerous. "We must prepare," Lyra said, her voice steady. "The children are strong, and Elindra is strong, but we cannot underestimate the threat. We need allies and strategies to ensure their safety." The council was convened once again, and Lyra addressed them directly. "These are not ordinary dangers," she explained. "The warlords I speak of have attacked systems across the galaxy, capturing children with unique abilities. Kael and Lyra are different, but that difference makes them a target. We must act carefully, but we must act swiftly." Some council members nodded, while others whispered among themselves. One elder raised a hand. "Lyra, how can we trust this information? You have been gone for many years. How do we know this threat is real?" Lyra's eyes met his. "Because I have seen it myself. I have lived among these warlords, watched their methods, and escaped their control. I know what they are capable of. And I know that if we do not prepare, they will come here, and they will take what they want." Amara's voice broke the tension. "We believe you, Lyra. You have survived the impossible, and you have returned with knowledge that can protect us all. We will listen and act." The council began to discuss strategies. Elindra's scientists and engineers were called upon to design defenses, while military leaders examined the fleet and prepared patrols along the outer systems. Lyra worked closely with them, sharing knowledge she had gained from the alien civilizations she had visited. Kael and Lyra were also part of the preparation, though in a careful and supervised way. Lyra wanted them to understand their powers and their responsibility without overwhelming them with fear. Kael practiced forming energy barriers and shaping protective fields, while Lyra learned to detect danger through the emotions and intentions of those nearby. The palace scientists were fascinated. "These abilities could change how we defend Elindra," one remarked. "They could give us insight into the galaxy we have never had before." Lyra nodded. "Yes, but we must be careful. Power without control can be dangerous, even to ourselves. That is why I have trained them." One night, while the moons of Elindra shone silver over the city, Lyra and her children walked along the palace gardens. The air was quiet, but Lyra's mind was alert. "Kael, Lyra, I need you to understand something," she said. "There are beings in the galaxy who will try to use your powers for their own purposes. You must always remember who you are, and what you are here to protect. Elindra is our home, and we will defend it together." Kael looked up, his eyes glowing faintly. Lyra reached out with her mind, sensing her mother's calm determination and the emotions of the palace nearby. Amara watched them, her heart full of pride and worry. The children were extraordinary, yes, but the weight of the threats they faced was heavy. Yet she also saw hope, their courage, their intelligence, and their bond with one another. These were qualities humans had always relied upon, and they would guide them through the challenges ahead. In the following days, the palace began to implement defenses based on Lyra's knowledge. Energy barriers were installed around key points, patrols increased along outer borders, and special teams were trained to respond quickly to any threat. Lyra worked tirelessly with the leaders, sharing tactics she had learned from alien civilizations, teaching new ways to detect danger, and emphasizing the importance of human ingenuity in the face of challenges. Even as preparations continued, life in Elindra did not stop. The children continued to learn, play, and grow. Kael and Lyra began to form friendships with other palace children, showing them how to use curiosity, intelligence, and compassion to solve problems. Their presence brought new energy to the kingdom, inspiring others to embrace differences and work together. But not everyone was convinced. Some nobles whispered in secret, questioning whether these hybrid children were truly safe. Others feared that Lyra's return and her knowledge of distant worlds could disrupt Elindra's traditions. Lyra and Amara knew that changing hearts and minds would be as important as preparing for battle. One evening, as the palace quieted, Lyra looked out over the city from her daughter's balcony. "The warlords will come," she said softly to Amara. "I cannot stop them from noticing the children. But we can prepare. We can show them that courage, intelligence, and unity are stronger than fear or force." Amara nodded, holding her daughter's hand. "We will. And Elindra will stand, as it always has. Humans have faced challenges before, and we will do it again. Together, we are strong." Lyra smiled, watching Kael and Lyra playing nearby, shaping small orbs of energy and laughing as they learned to control their powers. "Yes, together," she said. "And perhaps one day, these children will show the galaxy what humans can do when we combine love, courage, and intelligence." That night, as the stars glimmered above Elindra, the palace remained alert. Sensors patrolled the outer systems. Scouts were sent to gather information, and the children rested peacefully in their rooms, unaware of the eyes watching from distant corners of the galaxy. The adventure that had begun with Lyra's return was only growing more complex, and the threats lurking beyond the stars were real. Yet, in the warmth of the palace and the embrace of her family, Lyra felt hope. Elindra was not just a kingdom, it was a symbol of human resilience, of the courage to face the unknown, and the intelligence to overcome it. The warlords might come, but they would find more than power here. They would find a people united by love, by knowledge, and by the strength of the human spirit. And in that truth, Lyra found confidence. The sky over Elindra grew tense, painted with streaks of pale light from distant stars. Scouts had reported the approaching fleet of the warlords Lyra had warned about. Their ships were vast and numerous, their shapes unlike any Elindran vessels. Amara stood on the palace balcony, her eyes scanning the horizon, while Lyra stood beside her, Kael and Lyra clinging to her sides. "Mother, we are ready," Lyra said, her voice calm but determined. "The children are prepared, and the defenses are strong. Elindra can face this threat." Amara nodded, feeling both pride and anxiety. "Yes. But remember, Lyra, courage alone will not be enough. Strategy, intelligence, and unity are what will protect our people." Lyra's children watched as the first warlord scouts appeared near the outer rim. Kael's small hands glowed as he formed energy shields around key towers and entrances. Lyra's eyes shone as she sensed the intent of the approaching ships, warning of which vessels posed the greatest danger. The children were focused, their powers complementing the kingdom's technology perfectly. The warlord fleet advanced steadily, expecting an easy conquest. But Elindra was prepared. Energy barriers lit up the skies, shimmering with protective light. Elindra's fleet, though smaller, moved with precision, guided by strategy and the knowledge Lyra had shared. Lyra moved quickly among the palace command center, giving instructions. "Focus on isolating their lead ships," she commanded. "Kale, Lyra, be ready. Your abilities will turn the tide if we need them." The first clash came when a warlord ship attempted to breach the outer defenses. Kale raised his hands, forming a glowing barrier of energy that pulsed outward, forcing the ship to halt. Sparks danced across the hull as Elindra's defenses held strong. Lyra reached out with her mind, sensing fear and aggression in the enemy crew, and relaying the information to the human commanders. The citizens of Elindra had gathered, watching from safe areas and cheering for their defenders. Their courage inspired the soldiers, showing that human spirit was as vital as technology and powers. The hybrid children became symbols of hope, demonstrating that differences could be strengths when guided by love and wisdom. As the battle progressed, the warlords realized Elindra would not fall easily. They attempted a coordinated strike, sending several ships toward the palace. Lyra's knowledge proved crucial. She predicted their movements and directed the defenders to intercept, using both technology and Kale's energy manipulations. Kale focused intensely, creating shields and redirecting energy blasts. Lyra extended her perception, sensing the warlords' strategies before they acted. Together, mother and children worked seamlessly with the kingdom's defenders. Despite the overwhelming numbers, Elindra's defense held. Lyra's strategies, combined with the children's abilities, created unexpected advantages. The warlord's ships faltered against the precise coordination and the determination of Elindra's people. Amara watched from the balcony, her heart swelling with pride. The courage of humans, ordinary citizens, soldiers, and even children was unmatched. They faced the unknown not with fear but with intelligence, adaptability, and unity. At one point, a warlord ship managed to break through the initial defenses and headed straight for the palace. Kale extended his hands, forming a dome of energy around the palace gates. The ship collided with the barrier, sparking and trembling under Kale's focused power. Lyra sensed the panic of the warlord crew, helping the commanders anticipate their next move. Lyra moved swiftly, coordinating attacks from the sky and ground. "Now, combine our efforts," she shouted. Soldiers and civilians worked together with the children, using ingenuity to trap and disable enemy ships. Energy blasts, mechanical defenses, and human strategy blended perfectly, creating a force no warlord had anticipated. The warlord fleet began to retreat, confused and defeated by the unexpected resistance. Elindra's defenders pressed their advantage, driving the intruders back into space. The citizens cheered, and Amara embraced Lyra and the children. "You did it," Amara said, tears in her eyes. "You saved Elindra." Lyra shook her head gently. "We did it together. Humans, children, soldiers, and citizens. All of us. That is the true strength of Elindra. Courage and love, guided by intelligence, will always be stronger than fear or power alone." The aftermath of the battle was filled with gratitude and reflection. Scientists studied the abilities of Kale and Lyra to understand how they could help the kingdom grow. Soldiers and citizens celebrated their courage, realizing that human adaptability, creativity, and unity had triumphed over forces far more powerful than themselves. Lyra spent time with the children, teaching them the importance of responsibility. "Power is not enough," she said. "It is how you use it, guided by love and wisdom, that makes the difference." Kyle nodded, understanding that his energy manipulation was a tool to protect and help others. Lyra smiled, sensing the relief and happiness around her, knowing that her gift of understanding emotions could guide humans toward peace. Amara addressed the kingdom the next day. "Elindra has faced great danger and emerged stronger. Today, we have seen what humans can do when courage, intelligence, and unity come together." Let this be a reminder that we are never alone. Together, we can face the challenges of the galaxy, no matter how great. The citizens cheered, and the palace celebrated the bravery of every human, alien, and hybrid child who had contributed. Elendra had not only defended itself, but had also proven that humanity, with its courage and wisdom, could shine across the stars. Lyra looked at the horizon, knowing the warlords might return, but confident in the kingdom's strength. "We are ready," she whispered to herself. Elendra is ready, and Kael and Lyra will grow to be leaders who show the galaxy what humans can achieve. The children, tired but happy, played in the palace gardens once more, their powers now understood and guided. Elendra had survived the battle, but more importantly, the kingdom had grown stronger, wiser, and more united. The stars above twinkled, reflecting the spirit of Elendra, brave, intelligent, and full of hope. And somewhere in the distance, other worlds watched, knowing that humans were a force to be reckoned with. Not just for their strength or technology, but for their courage, creativity, and heart. Lyra held her children close, feeling a sense of pride she had never known. "This is only the beginning," she said softly. "The galaxy is vast, and our journey continues. But together, we can face anything." And in that moment, under the shining moons and sparkling stars, Elendra celebrated not just a victory in battle, but the enduring spirit of humanity itself. The morning sun bathed Elendra in golden light. The city had survived the threat of the warlords, and the people were busy rebuilding, restoring the streets, and repairing the defenses that had protected the kingdom. The palace, too, had returned to its usual rhythm, but it felt different now. There was a new energy in the air, a mixture of hope, pride, and excitement for the future. Princess Amara walked through the palace gardens with Lyra and the children. Kael and Lyra were laughing, chasing tiny orbs of energy Kael had created. Their joy was infectious, and Amara felt a warmth she hadn't known for years. Her daughter had returned, stronger and wiser, and had brought new life and hope to Elendra. "You have done well," Amara said, looking at Lyra with pride. "You and your children have changed this kingdom forever." Lyra smiled, holding her children close. "We only did what was necessary. Elendra's strength comes from its people. They faced fear and danger together, and that is what made victory possible." Kael looked up at his grandmother, his eyes glowing faintly. "Will the warlords come back?" he asked. His voice was calm but curious, showing both caution and confidence. Lyra crouched beside him. "Perhaps, but Elendra is ready. We have learned from them, and we are stronger than before. Your powers, combined with the people of this kingdom, will always protect our home." Lyra reached out with her mind, sensing the emotions of everyone in the garden. She smiled. "Everyone feels happy and safe," she said. "And the humans are kind and brave. We are lucky to be here." The Palace Council held a meeting to discuss the future. Lyra shared the knowledge she had gained from her travels about alien civilizations, new forms of energy, and advanced strategies for peace and defense. The council listened carefully, realizing that the experiences of one human could benefit the entire kingdom. One elder spoke thoughtfully. "We have seen that humans are capable of remarkable things. Lyra's return and the children's abilities show that our species is adaptable, intelligent, and courageous. We must honor this by learning from their experiences and preparing for the future." Amara nodded. "Yes, Elendra has always valued growth, understanding, and courage. These children are a symbol of what humans can achieve when we combine knowledge with love and determination." As the days passed, Kael and Lyra became more integrated into palace life. They attended lessons with other children, shared their knowledge, and demonstrated their abilities responsibly. The people of Elendra began to understand that these hybrid children were not threats, but gifts, symbols of hope, intelligence, and unity. Lyra worked closely with Amara to create programs that encouraged exploration, learning, and cooperation between humans and other beings from distant worlds. The goal was clear. Elendra would not just survive, it would thrive, preparing its citizens for a future that extended far beyond their home system. One evening, as the twin moons rose, Amara and Lyra stood on the balcony, watching the children play below. Kael had formed glowing patterns in the air, while Lyra giggled, sensing the happiness and curiosity of everyone around her. The palace felt alive, filled with laughter, energy, and the promise of new beginnings. "You know," Amara said softly, "there were times I feared we had lost you forever. But seeing you here, with your children, I realized that hope never truly dies. Humans can endure so much, yet still return stronger, wiser, and more courageous than before." Lyra leaned against her mother. "It is the people of Elendra who make us strong. Their courage, kindness, and willingness to learn have guided us. And now, with Kael and Lyra." Meanwhile, the citizens of Elendra were inspired by the events. The story of Lyra's return and the children's bravery spread throughout the kingdom, reminding everyone of the power of human resilience. Communities began to work together, sharing knowledge, building new technologies, and preparing for the future with confidence. Even beyond Elendra, distant star systems had begun to notice the kingdom's strength. Traders, explorers, and scholars from far-off worlds came to learn from Elendra, drawn by the stories of courage, intelligence, and unity. Humans were no longer just inhabitants of a single system, they were a shining example of what determination and heart could achieve in the universe. Lyra taught her children to use their abilities wisely, emphasizing empathy, responsibility, and creativity. Kael learned how to shape energy to build, protect, and explore, while Lyra developed her skill to understand emotions and guide others toward peace. Both children became symbols of hope, bridging worlds, and showing that humanity could integrate knowledge from many civilizations while remaining true to its values. One day, Lyra took Kael and Lyra to the observation chamber to look at the stars. "The universe is vast," she said. "There are countless worlds, countless beings, but what makes humans special is our courage, our intelligence, and our ability to care for one another. Remember that wherever you go, your hearts and minds will guide you." Kael nodded. "We will remember. Mother, we will protect Elendra and help others." Lyra smiled. "And we will make new friends, learn new things, and show the galaxy the best of humans." Amara watched them, feeling hope stronger than ever. Elendra had survived trials that could have broken it, yet it had emerged stronger. The kingdom now had new leaders, new vision, and a renewed sense of purpose. Humans had proven that even when faced with the unknown, they could adapt, learn, and triumph, not through force alone, but through courage, intelligence, and love. As the twin moons rose high, the palace gardens glowed softly, filled with laughter, energy, and peace. Elendra had been tested, and humanity had shown its enduring spirit. The kingdom would continue to explore the stars, learn from the universe, and grow stronger with each challenge. Lyra, holding her children's hands, turned to Amara. "This is only the beginning," she said. "The galaxy is vast, and our journey continues. But together, humans can face anything." Amara smiled. "Yes, together, we are unstoppable. And Elendra will shine as a beacon for all who value courage, knowledge, and love." And so, the kingdom of Elendra stepped into a new dawn. The children's laughter echoed through the towers. The citizens worked together with renewed purpose. And the stars above seemed brighter, reflecting the hope and promise of humanity. The adventure that began with loss and uncertainty had ended with reunion, strength, and unity. Lyra's return had not only restored her family, but had also reminded the galaxy of what humans could achieve. Elindra would continue to grow, explore, and inspire, proving that humanity's greatest strength lay in its courage, intelligence, and the unbreakable bonds of family and community. And in that shining future, Kael and Lyra would lead as living symbols of hope, a testament to humanity's ability to endure, adapt, and thrive among the stars.